Welcome to Funny AI. I'm Milo.
I'm Miso.
Get ready to shift how you think about the produce aisle, because today we're diving into something that gives real, quantifiable meaning to eating your greens.
Yes.
We're unpacking the concept of powerhouse fruits and vegetables.
That's right. We've all heard the term superfoods, right?
Yeah.
But it often feels more like, I don't know, a marketing buzzword than something truly scientific.
Yeah, exactly.
So what we're looking at today is a concrete, data-driven definition. It comes from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Okay, so our source material for this deep dive, it starts with that original CDC study that actually defined these powerhouse fruits and vegetables, PFVs they call them, based on their nutrient density. And we've also pulled in some articles that explore those findings, dig into the specific foods and highlight practical ways you can actually use this info.
Yeah, our mission today is really to understand the science behind what makes a fruit or vegetable a powerhouse. We want to reveal the CDC's ranking, which has some surprises.
Oh, I bet.
And pull out some actionable insight. Things that help you get the most nutritional bang for your buck, basically.
And here's the hook. You probably have some go-to healthy veggies, right?
Yeah.
We all do. But the CDC used a very specific kind of numerical approach to rank them.
Right.
And the food that landed at the very top spot, number one, it might be something you've only ever seen as a little green thing on the side of your plate.
Possibly. Let's unpack this.
Okay.
So CDC researchers, they started by noting a problem. We all know fruits and vegetables are good for us, obviously. They're linked to reduced risk of chronic diseases.
Sure. Standard advice.
But there wasn't a really clear data-backed definition for which ones were the most impactful. They wanted a way to actually identify these powerhouse fruits and vegetables.
So it wasn't enough just to say, eat more broccoli. They wanted to know, okay, which ones deliver the most nutritional value in a way we can measure.
Exactly. Their solution was to focus on nutrient density. That's the core concept here.
Nutrient density, okay.
It's about how many key nutrients a food provides relative to its calorie count. Think of it as like getting maximum nutrition without taking in excessive energy.
Makes sense. And they weren't just looking at one or two things, right? They looked at a whole list of nutrients.
Right. They focused on 17 important nutrients.
Yeah.
You can think of them as the major vitamins and minerals the CDC tracks for public health anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, a pretty comprehensive list. Potassium, fiber, protein, calcium, iron, folate, vitamins A, C, K. You get the idea. B vitamins, zinc.
Wow. Okay. So how did they boil all of that down into a single score? That seems complicated.
Well, they calculated a score based on the average amount of those 17 nutrients you'd get in just 100 calories of that food.
100 calories.
Yeah. And they use the standard percent daily value
Okay.
concept, a thing you see on food labels. How much of your recommended daily amount of a nutrient that serving provides.
Right.
So the final score is basically the average percent daily value for all 17 of those nutrients per 100 calories of the food.
Okay, so a higher score means you're getting more of those key nutrients for the same amount of energy, the same calories.
Precisely. And they did something clever to prevent one single nutrient being super, super high and making a food look artificially great. They capped the maximum score at 100.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Sort of levels the playing field.
Yeah, keeps it balanced.
Got it. And what was the cutoff? How high did the score have to be called a powerhouse fruit or vegetable?
They set the threshold at a score of 10 or higher.
10. Why 10?
It's based on the FDA standard for what's considered a good source of a single nutrient. So the thinking was, if a food hits a score of 10 or more based on the average of all 17 nutrients per 100 calories, it definitely qualifies as a powerhouse.
Okay, that makes sense. So they looked at 47 foods total. How many actually made the cut?
41. 41 out of the 47 qualified as powerhouse fruits and vegetables using this definition.
It's most of them.
It is. And they did note that 4 specific foods, apples, bananas, corn, and potatoes, were kind of classified as non-PFVs from the start, just based on previous research suggesting they generally have lower nutrient density compared to the other candidates they were looking at. They were still included in the analysis, but they weren't really expected to hit that 10-plus score threshold.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, when we look at the results for those 41 foods that did qualify as powerhouses, a really striking pattern emerges, especially when you look at the top of the list.
Oh, yeah. What stood out?
Foods in the green leafy category.
Mm-hmm.
Things like chard and spinach and the cruciferous group that includes stuff like kale, arugula, watercress.
Right. The usual suspects, kind of.
Kind of. But they were really heavily concentrated in the top half of the nutrient density scores, like way up there, among all 41 PFVs.
So the old advice to eat your leafy greens isn't just like general wisdom your grandma told you. It's actually backed up by this specific scoring method.
Exactly. These greens are truly packing a punch per calorie, according to this data.
All right, let's dive into some of the specifics then. The foods that really came out on top, especially in the vegetable category. And we have to start with the undisputed champion, right?
We do. The food that achieved a perfect score, 100.00, and landed at number 1 on the CDC's list
Drumroll.
is watercress.
Watercress.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, I've seen it, like you said, in salads or maybe as a fancy garnish. But number 1, that's genuinely surprising. What makes it score so incredibly high?
Well, based on their calculation, 100 calories of watercress provides, on average, 100% of the daily value across those 17 key nutrients they measured.
Wow.
It's incredibly low in calories, but it's just packed with what the sources call remarkable levels of vitamins K, A, C, several B vitamins, plus minerals like magnesium, calcium, potassium.
So its high score isn't just from one super high nutrient, it's like a broad spectrum.
Exactly. It's a nutrient-dense powerhouse across the board. And the benefits list is just huge. Bone health from the calcium, magnesium, and especially that vitamin K.
Right.
Immune support and collagen production from vitamin C. Heart health thanks to antioxidants like beta-carotene and lutein, plus nitrates that help lower blood pressure.
And I read it has potential links to cancer risk reduction too. Is that right?
Yes, this study mentions its phytochemicals, specifically these things called glucosinolates. You find them in broccoli and kale too.
Okay.
When you chew watercress, these convert into compounds called isothiocyanates, and these are being studied pretty heavily for their ability to inhibit cancer cell growth and protect against DNA damage, particularly, they note, in the lungs and digestive tract.
That's amazing for such a small leaf. It's also cited for supporting hormone balance and liver health.
Yeah, contains B vitamins, calcium, and magnesium, which are all involved in hormone pathways. And compounds like sulfur can support detoxification processes in the liver. Plus, again, those antioxidants like vitamin C are great for skin health, supporting collagen.
This tiny plant is doing some serious heavy lifting, and the sources recommend eating it raw mostly.
Yeah, often raw in salads, wraps, or just as a garnish. Some suggest light wilting might reduce certain nutrients slightly, but honestly, it's considered one of the most nutrient-dense plants on the planet, however you eat it.
And the historical facts are pretty wild. Greek warriors ate it before battle.
It seems people have kind of intuitively recognized its power for centuries. Get this, it even contains some omega-3 fatty acids, which is pretty unusual for a leafy green.
Wow.
Watercress is truly a nutritional champion, just hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so watercress is the king, perfect score. What else is packing a serious nutrient punch right up there in the vegetable list?
Okay, right behind watercress at number 2, with a score of 91.99, is Chinese cabbage, also known as Napa cabbage.
Ah, okay, another cruciferous vegetable, right, like watercress.
It is, yeah. And it shares some of those beneficial compounds, those glucosinolates we mentioned. They contribute to its high score, and they're linked to helping manage things like blood sugar, blood pressure, lipid profiles, and they support your body's natural detox processes.
And there's a popular way to eat it that adds even more benefit.
Absolutely. Fermenting into kimchi. That introduces probiotics, so you get gut health benefits on top of its inherent nutrient density. And the sources say it's surprisingly easy to make kimchi at home.
Good to know. All right, number 3 on the list, score of 89.27, is chard. Swiss chard.
Yeah, often really beautiful with those colorful stems. Another leafy green that scored incredibly high.
What makes chard stand out as a powerhouse? What's its special thing?
Well, it's notably high in nitrates. These are compounds that help relax your blood vessels, which can contribute to lowering blood pressure.
Oh, interesting.
And it's incredibly rich in vitamin K, which we know is crucial for blood clotting, but also really important for bone health. And, get this, it can help prevent calcium deposits that stiffen arteries.
Wow.
Plus, like the others, it's loaded with various antioxidants that fight inflammation, support heart health, brain health.
So how should you prepare it to get the most out of it?
It's actually a fairly delicate green, so minimal cook time is best. Like a quick saute with olive oil and garlic is perfect.
Right.
Or just adding it to soups or stews right at the very end, just until it wilts down. Okay, coming in at number 4, scoring 87.08, we have beet greens.
The tops. The leafy tops of the beets that often get tossed out.
Exactly. And that's such a shame because according to this study, they are more nutrient-dense than the actual beetroot itself.
No way.
Yeah, they're packed with calcium, iron, B vitamins, a whole range of minerals.
And like chard, they have those nitrates too.
Yes, those plant-based nitrates are key here again, helping with blood pressure regulation. And they're absolutely full of antioxidants, which contribute to that high score and are great for, slowing cellular aging and supporting heart health.
The sources called them a favorite green. How do you use them if you've never tried?
Treat them exactly like spinach.
Here.
Seriously, just make sure you wash them really well first. They can be a bit gritty sometimes.
Okay, just a hair behind beet greens. At number 5, scoring 86.43, is the classic, the ever-popular spinach.
Yeah, Popeye wasn't wrong, right? Spinach's high score reflects its density in iron, vitamin K, vitamin A, vitamin C, magnesium. It's got a lot going on.
What are the standout benefits that really push it into that powerhouse status?
Well, beyond the general immunity and bone support, spinach contains lutein. That's an antioxidant that's particularly good for eye health that helps filter out some of that damaging blue light.
Oh, that's good to know. And there's a specific tick about getting the most iron from spinach, isn't there?
Yes, This is interesting. Iron absorption is actually better when spinach is cooked.
Really? What?
Partly because cooking helps reduce these compounds called oxalates, which can interfere with mineral absorption. And if you pair cooked spinach with a food high in vitamin C like tomatoes or bell peppers, that boosts the iron uptake even further.
Smart.
And chefs recommend adding it right at the very end of cooking things like pasta or soups so it doesn't get all mushy and overcooked, especially if you're planning on storing leftovers.
Good tip.
All right. Rounding out our top 6, scoring 73.36, is chicory.
Chicory. This one's known for being a bit bitter, right? Especially varieties like radicchio.
It is, yeah. But that bitterness often comes with nutritional benefits. Chicory, especially its roots, is really rich in something called inulin.
Inulin, what's that?
It's a type of prebiotic fiber.
Ah, prebiotics. And prebiotic fiber is important for
Your gut health.
Yeah.
Big time. Inulin specifically feeds the beneficial bacteria in your digestive system. So this can improve overall digestion, help with constipation, and maybe even play a role in regulating blood sugar and potentially aiding weight management.
Fascinating. And it also has that history as a coffee substitute, right?
It does, yeah, particularly during times when coffee was scarce, like in wartime Europe or even earlier in France.
Huh. And how do you cook with it now, if you want to try it?
Well, radicchio is a common form you'll see. You can use it raw in salads, gives a nice bite, like in a tricolor salad. Or try grilling it. A little olive oil, salt, maybe a drizzle of balsamic glaze really softens that bitterness and brings out a different flavor.
Okay, moving on to number 7, scoring 7.73, we have leaf lettuce.
Yeah, like your standard red or green leaf lettuce. And this reinforces a general principle we're seeing. The darker the leaf, generally the more nutrient-dense it tends to be within these leafy groups.
Makes sense.
So leaf lettuce is a good source of vitamins A and K, and it has decent amounts of folate and minerals like potassium and calcium.
Simple, effective, a good practical way to use it.
Lettuce cups. Use the large leaves as a low-calorie vehicle for various fillings, the tacos, stir-fries, chicken salad. Boost your nutrient intake without adding extra carbs from bread or tortillas. Okay, at number 8, with a score of 65.59, is parsley.
Parsley. See, I knew it. It's proving it's way more than just a little green thing on the side of the plate.
Absolutely. Its score reflects its high levels of vitamins K and C, definitely, but also potent antioxidants like apiols and myristicin, which help reduce inflammation. And it contains a compound called apigenin.
Apigenin.
Yeah, which is currently being researched for potential cancer preventive properties.
Yeah.
So yeah, parsley's got some power.
Any fun historical facts about parsley's supposed powers? People used to think it did things, right?
Yeah. Ancient Romans reportedly used it to try and cure hangovers.
Did it work?
Probably not. And medieval folks apparently placed it under pillows to ward off nightmares.
Okay, then.
But the classic tip holds true. Chewing fresh parsley really can help freshen your breath after eating garlic.
Or just make a big batch of chimichurri sauce. Use a whole bunch of parsley. The sources described that sauce as an incredible flavor booster.
Oh, absolutely. Great use for it. All right, number 9 on the list, scoring 63.48, is romaine lettuce.
Another lettuce making the top 10.
Definitely a healthier option than its paler cousin, iceberg lettuce. Romaine's darker leaves mean more chlorophyll, more beta-carotene, which your body converts to vitamin A, and just generally more vitamins and minerals compared to iceberg.
Any interesting ways to use it besides, the classic Caesar salad?
Well, similar to leaf lettuce, you can swap out buns or toast for sturdy romaine leaves in sandwiches or burgers. And grilling romaine is actually quite popular. Gives it a unique, slightly smoky flavor and wilt it down a bit. Worth trying.
Interesting. I remember this one had a bit of a scare in the news a few years back, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It was temporarily pulled from shelves in North America due to an E. coli outbreak back in 2018. But thankfully, it made its return, a resilient green.
And finally, rounding out our deep dive into the top 10 highest scoring vegetables from the study. At number 10, with a score of 62.49, we have collard greens.
Ah, a staple in Southern cuisine, and one that truly deserves its powerhouse title, particularly when it comes to bone health.
Really? How so?
They are just packed with calcium and vitamin K, both absolutely crucial for bone density and strength. Get this. 1 cup cooked is said to contain as much calcium as a glass of milk.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Plus, they offer other bone-supporting minerals like iron, magnesium, and zinc. And, like many greens, beneficial antioxidants and compounds studied for cancer-fighting properties.
Any tips for preparing them? They can seem a bit tough sometimes.
For more tender collards, one tip is to try steaming them first, just until they wilt, before you toss them with oil and seasonings or add them to your dish. It helps break them down a bit without overcooking them into mush.
Good idea. And the sources mention this food has deep cultural roots, too.
It really does. Historically, it was considered survival food, grown by enslaved people in America, and it remains an important cultural symbol. Ancient Greeks were apparently fans, too. And there's a cool fact about the jazz musician Thelonious Monk. He was known to wear collard greens on his lapel sometimes as a nod to his heritage.
That's amazing.
So we've highlighted these top scores, particularly the greens that really dominated that top 10 vegetable list from the CDC study. But it's really important to remember, the study identified 41 foods in total that qualified as powerhouse fruits and vegetables, with that score of 10 or higher.
Right, the list goes much deeper than just these top performers we focused on. Other types of fruits and vegetables definitely made the list. They just generally had scores lower than those super greens at the very top.
Exactly. You've got items in the yellow-orange group, like carrots. They scored 22.60, tomatoes at 20.37, winter squash, sweet potatoes. They're all PFVs.
Alliums, too, right? Like scallions and leeks.
Yep. Scallions scored 27.35, leeks 10.69. Both made the cut.
And citrus fruits. Oranges, lemons.
Absolutely. Lemons, 18.72. Oranges, 12.91, limes, 12.23, even grapefruits, both pink, red, and white, are on the list.
And berries, too, like strawberries.
Some berries, yeah. Strawberries scored 17.59, blackberries 11.39. Both qualified. So the point is, all these foods provide significant nutrient density per calorie. They're good choices. They just don't hit those sky-high levels of, say, watercress or chard, according to this specific scoring method. It's not about saying these are bad foods at all.
No, not at all.
It's just about understanding the relative density based on the 17 nutrients they measured.
It's even interesting that iceberg lettuce made the list. It scored 18.28, so it qualified. Proves even basic lettuce has some value.
Right.
And it comes with a fun fact. Apparently, NASA has successfully grown iceberg lettuce on the International Space Station.
No kidding.
Yeah, as part of research for future long missions, like going to Mars. So even iceberg has an interstellar connection.
Huh. Love it. So let's bring it back. Why does this concept of nutrient density and this specific CDC ranking, why does it matter for you listening right now?
Well, I think it provides a really helpful science-backed framework for making smarter food choices. Instead of just guessing or going by vague terms like superfood, this study gives you actual concrete data points. Focusing on these nutrient-dense foods helps you get the maximum amount of beneficial vitamins and minerals for the energy you consume.
Exactly. In a world that's honestly filled with confusing, often conflicting dietary advice, having a clear score like this can be a really powerful tool. It helps you manage your daily energy intake, maybe if you're watching calories, while making sure you're not missing out on crucial nutrients.
And understanding the scores lets you prioritize, maybe? Like, while all 41 PFEs are good for you, knowing that watercress hits 100 and maybe broccoli scores well but lower, that might change how you select foods, especially if you're really trying to maximize your nutrient intake within a certain calorie budget.
Yeah, it helps you look at the produce aisle or the farmer's market with a different lens. You can start identifying which foods are truly the heavy hitters based on a broad range of important nutrients, not just one or two.
Now, it's important to mention the study itself acknowledges some limitations. We should touch on those briefly.
Yes, definitely. For example, the scoring didn't include data on phytochemicals.
Phytochemicals, like antioxidants and stuff.
Yeah, those beneficial plant compounds beyond the standard vitamins and minerals, like flavonoids or carotenoids. It wasn't because they aren't important, they absolutely are, but mostly because uniform data and clear dietary recommendations for all these different phytochemicals are still developing.
Ah, okay. So the scores are based strictly on those 17 selected nutrients.
Exactly. Also, the study only looked at 47 specific foods within predefined groups. So there could definitely be other really nutrient-dense foods out there, maybe certain herbs, spices, other vegetables that just weren't part of this particular analysis.
Good point.
And the authors themselves note that while this classification system is a really promising start, true validation would involve more research, like studies that actually track people's intake of these specific PFVs over time and see how it correlates with actual long-term health outcomes.
Okay, so to sum up this deep dive then, the CDC study gave us a science-backed definition and a ranking of powerhouse fruits and vegetables. It's based on nutrient density nutrients per calorie, and it really highlighted that leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables are packed at the very top of that list.
With watercress leading the pack with a perfect score.
Right, and understanding this concept, this nutrient density idea, and seeing the relative scores gives you, the listener, a powerful tool. It helps you make more informed choices to really maximize the nutritional value you're getting from the foods you eat.
It's definitely a different way to think about stocking your fridge or planning your meals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's a maybe provocative thought for you to consider as we wrap up. Now that you know the science behind nutrient density, now that you've seen how these scores stack up, how might this information change the way you approach buying or using fruits and vegetables?
Does the fact that watercress is the absolute king, number one, inspire you to maybe move it from being just a garnish to being a regular part of your salads or sandwiches?
Think about how incorporating even small amounts of these top-tier powerhouses could potentially elevate your daily nutrition, something to chew on.
All right, that's it for today. Catch you next time.